we're ready.
Okay, good afternoon. I will call the special virtual meeting of the Board of Aldermen and the Board of Enforcement and Taxation to order. Please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the call of the meeting today is for the presentation of the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget, city budget. And I will do the roll call before we get into the presentation. John Ingles. Present. Eric McPherson. Present. Chris Belmacy.
Here.
David Goodwani.
Present.
Lana Carloni.
Present.
Noreen McGordy. Anthony Simonetti.
Present.
Bernie Simons.
Here.
Board of A&T is John Francino Quinn. John Belden.
Present.
Steve Gorilnik.
Present.
John Boyko. Michelle Albin.
Present.
Joe Napick. Okay. So as I mentioned, today is the day that the budget is presented to A&T to start the budget process. I just want to begin by calling attention to the March 17th article in the New York Times. It's titled "Shelton, Connecticut, More Living Space and Lower Taxes." And then it's prefaced by saying the up-and-coming city in Fairfield County is part suburb, part gritty downtown, with more residential and commercial development in the works. And it's so true. And for me, it's particularly gratifying when it's coming from someone outside our borders. Because when people look at the city of Shelton, this is a reflection of what they see. It's something that, quite honestly, we've worked for years. So last year, the theme for this budget was uncertainty. And I think for the most part, we're pretty much in the same situation again. Much will really depend on the ability of our economy to rebound. And the clarification on the use of federal stimulus monies coming to municipalities and boards of education across our state is still not known. And for the Board of Education, it represents about $6 million. Next year's budget, the one that we are presenting today, will look pretty much like this year's budget, only reflecting contractual increases. Change is always inevitable. Life is a constant change. The most significant change in my political life in 30 years is people's willingness to say anything with total disregard for truth and facts. This could not be more clear than with charter revision last November. Some issues. Vote no. Keep education bipartisan. I thought to myself, well, how is that possible? We're operating under the existing charter where education isn't bipartisan. There is a controlling party dictated by the charter. And then others says charter changes will cause your taxes to go up. Really? Documents make your taxes go up and it's not people? In fact, take a look at our mill rate over the last 30 years. 20 times we have either left the mill rate alone or lowered it. I don't think that there's anybody in the state of Connecticut that can be more consistent when it comes to taxability in the city of Shelton, as demonstrated by our mill rate and the fact that we're recognized by so many other entities outside our borders for our stability and our affordability. Claims of A&T oversight as the fiscal watchdog is almost laughable. A reading of the charter shows that there are two responsibilities for A&T. And one of them is delivering a budget, passing it on to the Board of Aldermen. And in the last 10 years, 4 times, the Board of Apportionment and Taxation couldn't even deliver a budget to the Board of Aldermen, negating their responsibilities under the charter. How about that, huh? Factions on A&T wanted to fund the police by $1 million. And that same group on social media support the Shelton Police Union. You can't have it both ways. You know, this radical social agenda has moved across our country and is now here in Shelton. And it's time for us to push back and call attention to it. Not only is our police department going to be fully funded in this budget, they are also state accredited, which has never happened before. We are upholding standards for performance. We're ensuring that people do their jobs so that girls don't get raped and supervisors don't cover it up. So if that's what you want to support, I got to tell you that I am not there, and you can expect a lot of pushback from me when it comes to things like that. Moving on. This budget reflects a modest increase for the Board of Education. And at some time before the final adoption, the Board of Aldermen can and will modify that number once clarification on the use of federal stimulus monies to the tune of $6 million has been made or other monies have been made available. And I want you to know that we recognize that there are new and important programs that enhance learning due to the effect of the pandemic. Programs such as Eureka Math, K through 8, Reading and Writing, K through 8, called Wit and Wisdom, new social studies courses that are now mandated by the state, African American and Latino studies. And I'm aware that Shelton is also slated to be a pilot program, along with social and emotional learning, which may be implemented. And on the subject of school buses, we enter our 3rd year at a fixed price of $3,150,000, compared to a bid price from Durham Transportation of $4.3 million, with escalators every year. I think it's fair to say that we have created cost stability and savings to the amount of over $3 million. Now, some in Shelton are critical of our performance this past year, totally negating the fact that there is a worldwide pandemic. Everything has been disrupted. Everything on the planet. And while school transportation across the state and country struggle, we're supposed to be immune from that. Or maybe is this just political whatever? And I want to call to everyone's attention that back in early November, our school system closed for 2.5 months, like most school systems across the state. And why? Because teachers and substitutes were not available because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. I don't recall ever having to close school because we couldn't pick up kids. Yes, we missed some runs. But I think if you look at our performance and compare us to everyone else, you might be surprised at the results. Just this past week, on Monday, Seymour, Ansonia, and Derby had to cancel school. And why? No bus drivers. This has been an issue across the state of Connecticut for months and months and months, through no fault of anyone's, just the way it is. And so, through all of this, we are now updating our school system's automated bus routing program. Has not been done in 10 years. It begs the question. This is the school system's responsibility, as well as purging kids from the system who are no longer there. And this week, I'm happy to tell you that that purging was completed to the tune of almost 300 to 400 additional kids in the system are now off. This will allow us to take the next step with the updating of our automated school bus routing system. And when we're able to consolidate the routes, we're going to effect some savings. And I've told some of our board members that the savings that we were able to effect will go directly back to the board. We have our contract, and we're staying with that number. And so those are some of the things that we deal with in this day and age. And instead of focusing on getting results, I want you to know that I'm gonna remain committed to getting results like I always have. And I think our results speak for themselves. So consequently, I'm proposing a budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 with revenues and expenditures of $128,225,767 that will result in a mill rate of 22.03, which reflects a 1.74% reduction in our mill rate. So as we move forward, you can expect that once the schedule is set for meetings, that there will be a number of department heads that will not be required to come to in-person hearings, mainly due to maybe their own choice, they don't want to be in public, but certainly due to the fact that their budgets have been held steady for the last 3 years in a row, and the only changes in those budgets are the contractual obligations for our employees. So with that, I will conclude. I wish you all well and stay safe. And now I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion is made by Simonetti and seconded by Macy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?